but it's an opportunity also to keep yourself on the journey and to find a new ways of how you can overcome this one. And again, these small conclusions that you can think are only in the border of specific craft like calisthenics or yoga, they are applicable for your life and they contribute to your life, to your well-being in general. So just in case if you are in a rough path right now, bring yourself to the yoga, bring yourself to the calisthenics, and you'll find how you can, I don't say the problems will be removed, but the way how you're going to deal with this problem is going to be on completely another level of awareness.
We have been given the scientific knowledge, the technical ability, and the materials to pursue the exploration of the universe. To ignore these great resources would be a corruption of a God-given ability.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Stefan. This is Stefan Burns Live number 8, and I'm joined by my friend Sasha, who is a calisthenics yogi athlete out of Moldova. And today we're going to talk about the calisthenics, the yoga journey, and how improving your physicality also relates to mental health and spirituality. So if you could introduce yourself and kind of go over what got you into calisthenics and yoga and what it's led you to discover, Sasha?
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me. My name is Sasha Luvr. I'm doing calisthenics for around 7 months or kind of a little bit more, but if you talk about yoga, I'll say it's for around 5 years. And what brought me to that path is, I'll say that I didn't find myself from the start that I want to do this one, that I'm predisposed to this one, and it's something that you figure into the process, which is kind of pleasant because it makes your adventure much more interesting, it's much more spontaneous, and also, it means an opportunity to grow always when you have, for example, when you have to work what you move, but you don't know exactly how that path gonna be building. So you're going, and then suddenly you found that you like this, you like that, and in summation, multiply this one on a long-term perspective, you found yourself doing what you're doing. So this is what I'll say about me, like being a calisthenic and yogis. In calisthenic, I'll call myself a beginner, but in yoga, it's kind of good.
Well, the cool thing about calisthenics and yoga is the two go really well together. And actually every physicality and like different sort of fitness endeavor, I find goes really well together. Like I used to do powerlifting, and then I discovered yin yoga, which is the deep postures, the big opening releases. They go great together. They're totally different. Powerlifting with like 400 pounds on your back is way different than, okay, yogis, like we're gonna do a 3-minute hamstring stretch. But they pair together so nicely. What's nice about calisthenics and yoga is that they're a little bit like, there's a little bit more overlap. And so there seems to be more immediate benefit. Like you can do yoga and find yourself quickly improving your calisthenics ability because like, oh, this actually has a lot of carryover. Whereas with the powerlifting and the yin yoga, for example, it was very much, you had to be very aware of how it was helping you. Like, okay, improving the health and flexibility of my hips is obviously going to help my squat, and I will feel it, but it's not going to be like, oh my God, now I can lift heavier. It requires more consciousness to understand how one is improving the other. So I'm not surprised that you started to overlap the two, but like what got you into yoga to start with? Everyone's journey there is different.
Honestly, in my case, I just started to stretch. I just have a 15-minute stretching before some, home workout sessions or just workout. I hear about yoga, but it wasn't something that, by me from the first. I just doing some stretching, and when the pandemic hits, I lived there alone, and it was a moment where I discovered there's something more deeper than just stretching for 10-15 minutes. So that's how I started to delve into the topic, and it's not only about having like a side hobby of doing yoga. You start to understand that these things can bring something cool for your life also. You can take some lessons from the yoga and bring this one into your real life, which is going to contribute to much more conducive outcome. So it's something that you can benefit much more than just good flexibility or good mobility, which is also actually a very good benefit. And this is how, and then if you talk about the work, I didn't have a plan to build myself as a yogi. It was, again, a random moment where in autumn 2021, I just woke up and understood that I need something to change. and I bring myself on the Indeed, a website where you can find the work. I just search for yoga remote with no experience. Honestly, I just wanted some job, you know, in order to get myself on the path where I'm gonna do what I want to do and bring my money from there. I apply on a few jobs. One of them respond me, answer. We have a good, you know, connection from the start, from the interview, and they're like, okay, we're gonna hire you. And that's how I got myself like a yoga coach. And this is what the moment where probably someone will say that this is not too responsible for the fact that you don't have enough experience, but otherwise, how I'm gonna get my experience in that job? Yeah,
exactly. So. Well, it's interesting how one thing can lead to another, and the resonance can change. Because like before this podcast, right now, we were having lunch and we were talking about some of the difficulties of living in Moldova, the mindset, just the economic uncertainty here, things of this nature, and how something as simple as just stretching your body awoke these energies within you and led you to yoga, which then changed your resonance. This is my interpretation. Changed your resonance, which then led you to be like, hey, can I actually turn this into some sort of income and career? Maybe it's early stages still, right? You're not 60 years old. I'm not 60 either. But still, dramatically, like things have evolved, and now you're also incorporating the calisthenics. And one of the reasons I wanted to get this podcast out there is that you see a lot of yogis, but they don't do calisthenics. You see a lot of calisthenic athletes, but they don't do yoga. And it's really the synthesis of the two that's so powerful, especially if you're traveling. Like I travel a lot, and being able to go from one to the other, and then also sometimes into a gym, helps me to stay very on top of like how I feel, my strength, my endurance, my energy, and being really honest with where I am physically. And then of course there's the mind, body, and soul connection. So if you don't have that part of the triangle, you know, kind of figured out, how can you really have a strong mind and a strong spiritual connection? Yeah, it's possible, but it's much harder. And these two combined are a very powerful pillar of health that I mean, seeing your handstands earlier, bro, that's crazy. So, and I haven't, you know, we haven't done yoga together yet. We should do a yoga flow before I leave. But, I mean, so you just started with stretching.
It was just as simple as stretching, unconsciousness, having no aware. I mean, I have aware about what I do, but I didn't have something, oh, I do yoga. I just stretch myself. And that's how, and it's actually very interesting because it's how one decision can be the start of a new chapter of your life. And you have no clue, you have no desires, you have no vision probably. You never even thought that you're gonna find yourself on that path. But I suppose the word is branch. Yeah, like you start a new branch, and where one decision leads to another decision, and it's somehow mixing with your mindset and what are your intentions for life. It starts to, you know, you found yourself each time on a new stair more higher than the previous one, which means more opportunities, more freedom, and more benefits for your life. And if you talk about the calisthenics and yogis, I'm agree that this is a good mix. But I don't think that you will like lose too much if you're predisposed to do only yoga, there is no problem. If you're predisposed to do only calisthenics, no problem. But I think it's like with investments. If you want to reduce the probability that you're going to lose your money and the chances to make more money, you start to divert your investment. So the same thing with calisthenics, yoga, and if you're going to hit one time gym per week, for example, in mix with this one, it's gonna bring you so many benefits and opportunities. So yes, calisthenics is more for the power, dynamic. Yoga for mobility, flexibility. If you talk about the physical aspect, because there are mental also, but I'm gonna emphasize right now on the physical one. And yeah, calisthenics is to be stronger. Yoga to keep it flexible, which is very important because when people are focused only on one side, disregarding the second one, you increase the probability to get some traumas or to get some unpleasant outcome. But they both help to keep your body in a good balance.
But you mentioned like going to the gym once a week. I know that I used to go to like a pro bodybuilder gym, and I wasn't a pro bodybuilder, but you're in the environment. And I went to powerlifting gyms, and it was always like, how do I get stronger? How do I get bigger? And the question, it was always kind of like, well, work out harder, do more. Like you're working out 4 days a week, go to 5, go to 6. But in many ways, adding more stress on isn't going to help. And doing the same stimulus has diminishing returns. So what's great is like, yeah, can just go to the gym once a week or twice a week. But if you're then doing calisthenics for maybe the other 1 or 2, and then yoga twice a week, like you could go to the gym once a week and do a full body workout where you hit your big exercises. You do calisthenics twice a week, and then you do yoga twice a week, and then you stretch every day just for a little bit. That's like the ideal like routine in many ways. And you're definitely not gonna be stressing yourself too much from the gym. 2 weeks of calisthenics or 2 days of calisthenics is not gonna stress you out. Yoga is very difficult to stress yourself out with, and stretching every day is gonna help. So like now you have this amazing routine that's gonna build a lot for you, but it's gonna take very little. Whereas often people dig these holes of stress, trauma, injury, fatigue because of their workout routine. And some lessons are learned just by going through them. But that's hopefully some of this information can solve some of those problems for people or mediate them. But it also leads to kind of like a greater body awareness also like directly interacts with the brain. Like we could talk about the insula and how this is like taking all these interoceptive signals and processing them and how it connects to emotions and all this. But how have you noticed like your mental health change from this? And you're also fairly young. I mean, you're in your early 20s now. So this is still a very formative time for your brain. So how do you think that impact, if you reflect on that, if you could speak about that a little bit?
That's a good question, and I don't want to rush with my answer. But there are definitely improvements because, again, if you have an intention, for example, to succeed in that life, and saying succeed, I don't mean something that is in general like buy a house, buy a car, and something that's gonna bring you at the place where you're satisfied with the life that you
fulfilling.
live. Yeah, we're fulfilling. You're like, that's the life that make me, that's the life that I want to live. So when you have that intention, you honing your physical, calisthenics, yoga, gym. This is something that bring your body, being your physical aspects in a good area. That influence on the way how you think, that influence, because you can, calisthenics for example is a great way to honing your mental health also, because it teaches you about discipline, it teaches you that sometimes you have things that you have to do even if you don't want really to do them, but that's something that's gonna elevate, enhance the power that you possess inside of yourself. And just when you start to somehow mix them, found these moments of correlation, you understand that they can contribute to each other and create this a web of different opportunities, but they all are connected, which give you much more, which allow you to bring yourself on a new level.
Yeah, building the skills together. I remember like I've been working on muscle ups and the power of visualization. Like I was struggling to hit them, struggling, and then I was like, okay, I'm just gonna really visualize myself doing the rep perfectly, and then I got it. And you can do visualization for your business or for school or for a variety of things, but it's almost instant when you do it with calisthenics. You can visualize the yoga kind of, but if you're not flexible enough to hit a certain posture, you're not going to visualize into it. But with calisthenics, because you have this feedback of like, will you unleash your body's full potential? And you can have that instant like, okay, you failed 10 times and now you have it like within 10 seconds. And that state change can be very rapid. And a lot of people are interested in these like rapid instant state changes or timeline shifts or whatever you want to call it. And calisthenics is like such an excellent opportunity for that in the real world that helps you practice that aspect of life and then translate it into other aspects of life and reality as well. Have you experienced that?
There's actually a point where I'll say there's a lot of people who are looking forward for a goal. Like for example, they can do handstand, they're like, I want a handstand, and they try to visualize another. They think that when I'm gonna get or when I'm gonna conquer that skill, the path is gonna be completely different. And my focus is most of the time on the journey. If I can do something that I want to do in future, I don't think I just enjoy the fact that I can do this right now, and I work. And because it also allows you to understand where you live in the present moment, and you don't bother yourself always with the thoughts about future or the thoughts about past, because you can find yourself a little bit time later that I missed my life. like, okay, I get this one, but you just feel yourself in a rush, and you feel yourself not on your own place. So when the fact that I want to get something, of course I keep my intention and I work, but I also, for me, it's important to enjoy the process, because when I get the handstand, I remember I stuck with this movement for a long time, and when I get it, and now I'll call myself pretty good, like pretty proficient.
Yeah,
even.
we'll put some video up here.
Yes, but when I remember when I couldn't, that brings this a different level of excitement, because you work, you fail, work, fail, and then finally you hit your, let's say, first 10 seconds, and you just start to understand that it's worth it. You start to understand even the life, how the things work, because it's not only applicable to the calisthenics, it's how you usually get some results in the other crafts. You can get at the proficient level in like with one tutorial, or do these 5 steps and you'll get it. And then the question, okay, if it will take 3-4 months, people usually are scared with these numbers. What if I'll tell you that probably took a year to get a handstand? Because it's probably, in some cases, that people are 1 year. Yes, but why you're scared with this 1 year?
Yeah.
This 1 year can be fulfilled with so many things that create this complete canvas of life. I mean, it's not always have to be about some achievements. Fails can be romanticized a little bit, but in a healthy way. And when you get at the point that you are looking for a year ago, you understand it was an amazing journey, it was an amazing adventure. So this is also an answer for your previous question, how these things influence on my mental health and things. I mean, you start to learn how you can treat that life, treat the fails, and treat the journey. And when you think that you don't have nothing, but you have an intention inside, you don't have nothing. I know I probably don't sound very eloquent, but I mean, if you keep that intention inside, you at least have something that propel you toward things that you probably even didn't know that they are, but
a greater force.
Your life. Yes.
Yeah, there's a greater force, and one of the benefits of these like physical things you can do. We live in a mental age, and most everyone's very wrapped up in mental thought, and it can be cloudy, and it can be, we talked about how thoughts can be as light as a feather or as heavy as an anvil. That's your choice. And good luck blowing an anvil off a table. Whereas a feather, it's gone. Doesn't matter what the thought was. It was as light as a feather. But the beautiful physicality is that it does have some weight to it. And so when you do accomplish something, it can be very fast, but then also when you do accomplish something in the physical realm and you feel that improvement, it gives you motivation for the future, but also it's like a definitive accomplishment. It's not going away. It's like you did this, those 1,000 mistakes that you made are what helped, like they were the requirement to do that, because that muscle had to get into that bad position to say, okay, I can't be there, I need to be here, this, that, whatever. It's like, it is the requirement. You have to go through that journey, that process. Some people do it faster. And some people start doing gymnastics, for example, when they're 6 years old. So what a benefit that is. But you can start this at any time. With stretching, you can do this at any physicality. I mean, let's say it's difficult for you to get from a chair, okay? You're just really in a difficult spot. Hey, chest stretch, right?
Yes.
And, or you can even do like a seated, hamstring stretch. But if you are more fit and able, then there's a lot of things that yoga can then progress into calisthenics, and that calisthenics will then allow you to do these advanced yoga techniques, and it forms this really nice cycle. And all the while you're learning third eye gaze, right? And you're learning how to feel with your heart. And so it's just this beautiful journey that takes you beyond your body, out of your mind, into like greater connection. Like we have a dog sitting right next to us. He like walked over. He's like, I like these guys. I'm going to plop down next to them. All the trees are happy. I think about all these things, and I just like how some of these very basic things, some people do, but they may do them like, I want to be big and muscly to attract women maybe. But you could also do it because you want greater connection with yourself and in nature and others. And I think you can just reformat your goals and intentions. Do the same thing, just reformat it, and it may be much more successful as a result.
Yes, two things that I'd like to add to this one. First of all is more like about the physical aspect, When people usually talk about yoga, they think about flexibility of the legs, about good back bends, but actually the simple stretching like shoulders or wrists or your feet or your knee joint are very important. Just because they don't look very fancy in an Instagram post, it doesn't mean that you have to disregard them. So it's very important to keep their mobility, even sometimes a little bit more than just the legs flexibility, beautiful split or beautiful some type of back stretching. And
I know people that are very flexible and like back problems and stuff, and there's something that they're not addressing. Maybe they're sitting down too much. Okay, you can do splits, but something is not right if you have pain.
And the second thing about working on yourself, not because, for example, to attract beautiful women, but because it's your journey, you know. And I also like to ask, like, what do we have to do in that life? I mean, we have a time frame of 60, 80 years. I have myself. I need to discover something. I have this healthy curiosity to see what I'm capable of. It's not about always to be in a competition with someone, which personally I like, but it doesn't mean that I'm in the trap of always being with someone, comparing myself. No, I mean everything I keep in a healthy way, but I know that there's things that my body is capable to do. What I shouldn't have the desire to unlock these skills and just stay, you know, like a potato in the chair all day long.
I like potatoes though. I don't want to be a potato.
Yes, I understand. So I mean, it's interesting just to discover what you're capable of and what your body is capable of. When you also understand that this is going to influence good with my health, there's so many benefits. And how I say at the start, one decision can create so many arrows of your life. Because at the start point you can see, but the more far you go, they start to diverge one from each other, and it's only your choice which arrow gonna be. Yeah.
My question to you is, I mean, I travel a lot of countries. Every place, even just in different cities and towns, but every country has a vibe. And how have you noticed that doing these physical exercises and keeping yourself on this, you know, path of calisthenics and yoga, how has this changed your resonance? And how has that changed your perspective on your environment and kind of your motivations of where you want to be, what's important to you?
Oh, you know, because it changed your inner canvas, your inner self, and then gonna influence the way how you start to approach your environment. So I will say it's only positive influence because first of all, it allowed me to polish my emotional intelligence, which means I don't mean to suppress my emotions. I just mean that I get at a new level of my relationship with my emotions, and it allow you to control them more, and you start to notice things that probably even you didn't, that even some bad things. I like to emphasize something very, you know, you're aggressive or you're a very deceptive person or stuff like that, and just yoga, calisthenics, working on yourself, it's just such a beneficial path there that allows you to discover more about yourself.
You purify.
Yeah, and it also can be a great key that gets you out from moments of self-deception, because you start to find yourself. Because calisthenics, you have a lot of things that you have to overcome. It's not easy at all.
Literally gravity.
Yeah, actually, and it's a great opportunity to find who you are like a person, what you're capable of. And when I say what I'm capable, I don't say about how many pull-ups or push-ups. I mean here and here. So about the environment, well, to bring a more trivial answer, you just start to look for something more pleasant. You start to notice people from what I noticed in yoga. There are people who came there and they can have no problems with stretching their legs, stretching their back bends, but they have so many problems to relax their head. They always are, this fast pace of the daily routine, and they have no awareness of where they are, what they're doing.
Oh, the present moment.
The present moment, yes. They are just, and when you told them, like, for example, just chill out, breathe a little bit, focus on their breath and relax for 5 minutes, they're like, what I have to do? I can't, because they're saturated with the content from each corner. And when you don't have all of that and you have only yourself and your breath and a little bit of silence or some type of, I don't know, deep sound, it's such a big problem for them, and you understand how far you are from all of that because of the year of practice, and it allow you this it gives you with this trait of enjoy the present moment, of being with yourself, of be more. It gives you this perspicacity. I mean, the thing like
Oh
Yeah.
no.
like you understand that wait, you rush. Or remember when you went like in the previous week, in the previous month with your thoughts, with your intentions, are you there? Didn't you diverge from your desires from a few weeks ago? So this is the thing that usually people miss nowadays because they are consumed with this content and they just aren't capable just to be alone with themselves. That they can enjoy that time. They think they even start to shame themselves, to blame for the fact that I have problems to solve. Calm down. You don't have, at the moment right now, you have no problems. It's only you who bother yourself, and that's only. You don't have anything outside. You have problems? Okay, 5 minutes, they'll not run anyway.
Yeah, nothing's going to change in 5 minutes in terms of, like, well, I mean, if something absolutely insane happens, like an earthquake, yeah, but like in terms of your normal life, like you can be 5 minutes late, or you can take that 5 minutes and you'll be better for it. And that's just a lesson people need to learn. And what I like about yoga is that it brings you into that present moment, and it's like a daily check-in to like, okay, like all systems aligned, all systems centered, like, okay, I feel good. And it gives you time in that quieter environment. I don't just mean like your actual environment, just like by reducing the input coming in and by feeling your body more, you give your mind something to focus on, which is like, okay, actually feeling the stretch. But it also allows any quiet signals in your brain and body to, in effect, be louder because the background noise goes down. And so that's what's really what gets a lot of people kind of afraid, is because they have some background signals that they're like, I don't want to listen to that or hear that. I don't want to deal with that. And of course you have to. But that could maybe be some unresolved trauma or something. But the nice thing about yoga and calisthenics as an adjunct is just, you don't need to do it all at once. You just do a little check-in. Hey, okay, I'll work on it a little bit. And then with time, it gets easier and easier.
Yes, that's what I was to say.
Yeah, and I mean, even things like when you do have a quiet moment, if you do need something to occupy your brain with, just I am love. Yeah, yes, любовь. Just like, yeah, it's so key. Just something really simple and just feeling rather than thinking. And just letting these old programs just dissolve, and working the body physically not only is good for your health and wellness, your longevity, but it's just such an excellent pathway into all these other things. It's a very strong foundation. Because you can feel good in one moment mentally, because maybe things are going your way and your neurotransmitter soup it's primo, and then just as quickly it changes. But your physical body has a weight to it. Like I haven't done powerlifting for like nearly 6 months now. I wasn't doing it that seriously at the gym. So like serious powerlifting was like years ago. But I can still like go up and like lift some heavy weights because that does not degrade quickly. It lasts a long time. So it's this very solid, stable foundation you can stand on for a long time. Once it's built, it doesn't take much to keep it maintained. And from there, your mental health improves. From there, your spiritual consciousness, blossoms. And it's not going to be turned upside down nearly as easily as it would be if your body is not healthy and vibrant. I mean, Hippocrates has a quote. Do you remember the quote? It's like, what's the point of living if you can't feel the full expression of your body and physicality? Something along those lines.
Yes, I don't remember the Motomo quote, but I know what I'm talking about.
The Greeks were very smart. They were very on top of it. Yeah.
Yes, and the thing you just provided big thoughts, and I just wanted to say something, and I already forgot what I wanted to say.
Oh, it'll come back.
Yes.
You're in the void right now, just enjoying yes the bull for just the feelings.
It's actually a great way, the way how you, for example, with calisthenics or with yoga, I possess a good level of flexibility. And people usually think that I train day by day. And when I told them that actually no, sometimes I can train 1 per 2 week. And they're like, how? I mean, how you can keep a good level if you don't work every day? And this is the thing where you start to, you are not only, it's not only about empty practice, just work. You start to think how to optimize this work in order to save more energy and having faster results, but with no lack of quality. And one thing that you say about laying a foundation, I will say the same thing, only in other words. It's about your muscle memory. So you start to, in the way how you learn to walk, who of you today think when you make a step with the right leg, with the left leg, you make this one right now in the automatic. So the same thing when people, especially if you talk, for example, handstands, again, they like don't understand. They don't understand how to keep the balance. They start to think that they are, they are better and talented. But wait a second, are you used to walk on your hands? It's something so far from the comfort zone of your body, and it just requires some time. But this is a good way to explore with your mind, because I say always, I first of all squeeze my brain, and only then I squeeze my muscles. It's not only about, doing push-ups with I start to understand each of my movement, what is the purpose of this one, and how it can contribute in order to build a stronger version of me that's gonna spend less energy, or not like spend less energy, but save more energy that I can just reinvest in subsequential things.
Yeah.
So
just the optimization process, it teaches you that you can apply that anywhere.
Yes, and this is something that you start to get this tool, understand that I can apply another craft in my life. It's for example, you learn. I love to learn English, and I do these sessions at home. And you start to not only to practice for practice, you start to think how I can create a tool of thinking, and not only trying to somehow bring this one in my memory for a long time, and start how I can use these words, the context of these words, in order to, even if you didn't use this one in 3-4 months, you still remember that one.
That's my problem with the Russian right now. I forgot how to say it's not necessary yesterday, and then as I walked out, I was like, oh yeah, okay, that's the word.
Yeah, so this is what can calisthenics and yoga teach you. Not only practice for practice, you start to use your mind. You it's an opportunity to develop the creativity of your mind and the way how you start to interact with yourself. Again, it just brings you so many tools if you're gonna trust yourself, enjoy the process, and of course having a vision of where you want to be, but also keep this flexibility of your mind for something that is lurked under the corners of life. And yeah, that's the cool part of yoga. It's just so, how is this word, manifold, like a diverse, a very diverse craft that you can benefit in much more bigger amount of ways than you can think at the start.
Yeah, it's very broad, and I mean, physical exercise is one of the best stimulators of neurogenesis. So the amount of new brain cells that can be created through exercise is like right up there with some of these other things that are known. And of course, exercise is free, it's easy, it doesn't require, like, let's say magic mushrooms or something, which has its own problems in some ways, and also so much energy and information is stored not here, and not even just here. I mean, it is stored in the body, but it's also just stored in the entire aura. So it's a way to work and reformat those energies as well. Because let's say you are at a computer all day like this. Have you actually stretched your arms out all the way to the edge of your aura? Like now you're interacting with the energies there. Or like have you hit like Warrior 2? Or just some of these different postures. If you hit it versus not hitting it, that is different. It sends a different signal. And it's just, it's really powerful that these physical practices not only benefit you in terms of like, goal setting and learning to be in the present moment and being comfortable with yourself and your thoughts, but they're also triggering these like cellular processes and these energetic like reformatting processes, and then that all combines into like this larger spiritual growth where you can connect easier to that inner essence, like discover who you are. And it's really as simple as just like how you started, stretching every day. Just, okay, I feel a little tight in my hammies, like let's just do 5 minutes of stretching and look at where it got you. I mean, you should tell your story about how you manifested me.
Well, So I have a YouTube channel actually also, and that was at the moment right now I recorded like a week from my life, and it was a day where I just started with my English session. You know, usually the brain part is the first part of my day, and I just woke up, bring myself in English, and then I set my GoPro where I emphasize that it's cool that you have these tools that can contribute to your to your English level, but it will be so comfortable if I have a person with whom I can talk just a little bit to practice.
And
A little
we're in
bit-
Moldova, and it's not like English speaking's rare here, but
Yes.
I am from California. It's quite a bit different.
A little bit later, I was like, that was a day where I needed a little bit of time for myself, and I bring myself in the forest, which I like just to chill there. There is a cool spot where with no people, and I just enjoy the sunset. Enjoy my present moment. Yes,
Yeah.
this is what I needed. And then I was like, bring my backpack. I'm like ready to go, and I see that guy just moving around. Yeah, there were some bars where you can work out. I didn't came there for a workout. There the bars, and I saw you. And because it's also a cool thing because how I say at the start, one decision can create a new branch in your life. And a few months later, I started to focus more on a healthy networking, and if a few months ago probably I would just move toward you when you didn't noticing. But in the last couple of months, I started to interact more with people, bringing some connections. And I saw you doing some pull-ups, and it just took, 2-3 words bringing me like, oh, like what's up or something. And then I hear an accent, and they're like, you're an English speaker. And then I found that he's from USA, and I'm like, you speak English. This is exactly what I needed today in the morning. And who will think that I will find a native English speaker in the forest of Moldova? This is something like,
In the
Yeah.
forest of Moldova, yeah. It's a little synchronicity.
it's like an anecdote. Sorry for interrupt. Just to finish, we have this type of stupid anecdotes, traditional one like once in the forest meet Russian, Moldovan, and American. This is usually how they start. Yeah, and this is exactly like an anecdote. Introduction of the anecdote. Like once in the forest of Moldova, Moldovan meet an American. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And now you've had a lot of English practice because we're doing this podcast, and we worked out today, and yeah, so it's interesting how all these things combine and how it can all start with something so simple, and how what I love about the yoga, the calisthenics, the stretching. I talk about this a lot on my channel is that you can literally choose to do it at any moment. Like I'll be waiting for the bus and I'll start stretching, but at any point it's a moment where you can claim your sovereign power, unless you were like chained up or something. You can say, you know what, I'm gonna put the phone down, I'm gonna turn off the TV, I'm going to go to the park and stretch a little bit. I don't even have to leave. I can just literally plop down on the floor. I don't even have to do that. I can just do a standing fold or just do the arm stretch or whatever. Like at any moment there's an opportunity to do that state change and to do that thing which will take you forward, and also just improve your present moment as well. And I find all that very powerful because it's like the barrier to entry is so low. It's not a high barrier to entry, but at the same time, it's one of the things that'll take you the highest and the furthest. So that's the message that I wanted to leave you all with. And thank you so much for joining the podcast today.
Thank
and
you so much for inviting.
Of course, and for sharing some of your story and expertise and personal experience with calisthenics and yoga and everything else. And wish you the best. And if you like to follow his journey on YouTube, the link to his YouTube channel is in the video description. And also just leave a comment on the video. Really good videos talking about how to do certain things, and then also like video essays about yoga, calisthenics, and the whole journey. So really interesting content. I suggest you go to his channel, check it out. And yeah, wishing you the best.
Can I bring also my final comment?
Yeah, please, of course.
I just want to say that yoga and calisthenics is a great opportunity that will teach you how to cooperate with bad moments in your life. Because lately I got through that rough path with some kind of thing that influence outside that are outside of your control. But because you learn to deal with the thing, because sometimes you can think that I'm gonna learn a handstand in 1 month, and unfortunately, let's say you broke your wrist or something, which is unpleasant, of course. but it's an opportunity also to keep yourself on the journey and to find a new ways of how you can overcome this one. And again, these small conclusions that you can think are only in the border of specific craft like calisthenics or yoga, they are applicable for your life and they contribute to your life, to your well-being in general. So just in case if you're in a rough path right now, bring yourself to the yoga, bring yourself to the calisthenics, and you'll find how you can, I don't say the problems will be removed, but the way how you're going to deal with this problem is going to be on completely another level of awareness. And also, please rate my English because I work on that one. And rest, thank you so much. Yeah, also, I hope you're going to have a nice day. Thank you, Stefan. And we try to bring some value here.
Yeah.
Yes, an authentic value.
Please go to his channel, show some love, and I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks so much and have a great day. Ciao.